We're going to start the second chiluk of the kevitz. Last time we focused on how Yidden are higher than Teva. The first chiluk spoke about three different sichas. How Yidden are higher than Teva, and three different points in them. The chiluk base speaks about how that which Yidden are higher than Teva isn't only something that they are and that they have, but it affects how Yidden interact with Teva and how Yidden look at Teva. The way a Yid looks at nature, the way a Yid looks at Welt, is different than the way a Goy looks at Welt. So the first sikh is the sikh from Chiluk Aleph of the Sichas Pashas מצורע, which in this sikh is explained the fundamental difference between a Goy's Emunah in the Eibishter and a Yid's Emunah in the Eibishter, which Bechlalos is three levels of the differences of a Yid's Emunah in the Eibishter and the Goy's Emunah in the Eibishter. There's a difference is what they're believing in other words, how they have Emunah. Then there's a difference is where the Emunah comes from in the nefesh of the person, which part of the person believes. And then you have in what level of alakus they're believing in. That a Goy's Emunah reaches one level of alakus as opposed to a Yid's Emunah believes and reaches another level of alakus that a Goy can't reach. So just before we start the first sikha, little hakdama. Regarding Emunah, when we speak about Emunah of a Yid has to the Eibishter, so B'Pashas we translate Emunah as something we believe in. But there's different types of ways, in general, there's different types of ways a person could interact with another person, interact with another object, that a person could connect to it in a way that he understands, or in a way that makes sense. And then you have that a person believes in something, higher than in making sense, and higher than having a makom and seichel, meaning even though he didn't see the object, or he didn't interact with the object, he believes that the object is still there. For example, let's say a person tells over to someone, I saw something. So if you believe him, even though the person I didn't actually see it, but since someone else told me about it, and I believe that person, so now I believe this concept exists. The same thing with the Eibishter. A person could, B'Pashas, when we say a person believes in the Eibishter, it means that a person believes in something higher than he sees. That's where we teach Emunah B'Pashas. Now, Chassidus has a whole different explanation. What is Emunah? That Emunah isn't something that a Yid has in the Eibishter, that a Yid believes in the Eibishter, but Emunah is something that a Yid has. Emunah comes from a Yid's neshama, that a Yid's neshama b'etzem sees the lakus. And just like when a person sees something, it becomes true by him in a way that he can never deny it, since he saw it. So too the neshama of a Yid sees the lakus, the neshama of a Yid is connected to the lakus in a way that can never be separated. And because of that, a Yid believes in the Eibishter. In other words, when we say a Yid believes in the Eibishter, we don't refer to the Emunah, the Yid believing in something that he doesn't relate to. We're saying Adarabah. A Yid believes in the Eibishter because he is a lakus. A Yid believes in the Eibishter because he's b'etzem connected to lakus. So why is it called Emunah? Why is it called belief? And the reason why it's called belief is because it's higher than seichel. So as opposed to saying Emunah is something which is lower than seichel, as opposed to saying that there's a way of understanding something and connecting to it, and then there's something which you believe in. Which Rapash says, if you believe in something, it's much less powerful than if you understand it. Here we're saying Vakar, that the Emunah of a Yid means that a person is connected to the Eibishter so strong that it's higher than understanding, it's higher than intellect. Something much more powerful than Seichel. That's the way Chassidus a lot of times teaches the Emunah of a Yid. Now, by a Goy, since a Goy doesn't have a neshama, a Goy doesn't have a chelik l'kavim al mamish, a Goy doesn't have a part of himself that's connected to the Eibishter in a way that a Yid is. So therefore, by a Goy's connection to the Eibishter is very different than a Yid's connection to the Eibishter. That by a Goy, the concept of true Emunah, the concept of a connection to the Eibishter, which is higher than Seichel, doesn't really exist. Because since this concept comes from the Neshama, and a Goy doesn't have it, so a Goy can never connect to the Eibishter in a way which is completely l'mayla mitam vadas, which is completely in the way of Emunah. Every connection a Goy is going to have to the Eibishter has to be a outcome of Seichel, a outcome of logic. And that's what the Rebbe is going to say in the Sikha. The Rebbe is going to first translate the difference between the Emunah of a Yid and the Emunah of a Goy. And then, which is becoming to get to Sugya, the Rebbe is going to explain how this affects how a Yid looks at the world and then how a Goy looks at the world. So we're going to start on page 41 of the Kevitz. It's a Sikha from Pashas מצורע in Chiluk Aleph, where the Rebbe starts Sif Aleph explaining that there's a connection between Pashas מצורע and Chiddush Nisan that fell out that year. So we're going to start from Sif Beis on page 41 of the booklet. If you see Mitzrayim, Zogen Razal, B'schus Emunah Nigula V'seinu Mitzrayim. Regarding Yitzias Mitzrayim, it says in Medrash that the schus that Yidden came out of Mitzrayim was that they had Emunah. The Medrash speaks about how Yidden had Emunah. The schus that Yidden came out of Mitzrayim was because of Emunah. It doesn't say the schus that they were connected to the Eibishter. It doesn't say the schus that they did what the Eibishter wanted them to do. It says that the schus that they had was that they had the moon in the Eibishter. Nit hasoga nor emunah. There's a lot of different things that you could connect to the Eibishter. Like you spoke before, a person could do what the Eibishter wants. A person could understand the Eibishter. Yediyas of is also a mitzvah. Voda'ita. But that wasn't Yidden's schus in Mitzrayim. The Yidden's schus in Mitzrayim was that they had emunah. So that's one prat. We have to understand what's so special about emunah that that's because of that Yidden came in Mitzrayim. What is the ufta from emunah? What is the speciality of emunah? And number two, we have to understand that which Yidden came in Mitzrayim because of emunah means that there's a connection between coming out of Mitzrayim and emunah. It's not only a pshat that Yidden did a good thing, they had emunah, and therefore the Eibishter gave them a schar that they should go out of Mitzrayim. It wasn't only a reward, but it's a b'schus. And the schus of emunah, because they had emunah, that's why they came out of Mitzrayim. So there's a connection between them coming out of Mitzrayim and having emunah. Was ist Sheiches mit Mitzrayim, as dafke in ihr schus nigel av sein Mitzrayim. You need other things, other special things. It says l'shinim es l'shenim es levusham. You didn't have other schusim, but because of the schus of emunah, you didn't come out of Mitzrayim, which means there's a connection between coming out of Mitzrayim and emunah. So in order to explain what is the schus of emunah, the Rebbe first starts explaining what is emunah. So in order to understand what is emunah, the Rebbe first starts explaining what does it mean emunah by goyim. And through that, we will be able to see what is the Chiddush of emunah by Yid. Even Goyim who do Sheva Mitzvahs, they don't believe in Avodah Zarah. They agree in the existence of the Eibishter. So even by a Goy who agrees in the existence of the Eibishter, there's a difference between the way a Goy agrees in the existence of the Eibishter and a Yid agrees in the existence of the Eibishter. Why? Because by Zay, it does aber nitken emunah. By Goyim, when they connect to the Eibishter, it's not that they believe in the Eibishter. Not an inyan versus muchach mitzad ha-seichel. It's something which is forced onto them by intellect. It means that logic forces them to believe in the Eibishter. How does logic force someone to believe in the Eibishter? Because when a guy starts thinking into the existence of the world, is mitzadem klal ein davar eses atzmei, from the rule, since there's a logical rule that nothing can make itself. A guy comes into recognition as is that there's something that made the existence of the world and rules it and deals with it. In other words, that which a guy believes in the Eibishter, the foundation of that belief comes from a klal sichli. The foundation of that belief comes from a rule in logic that says nothing can make itself. According to the rules of logic, in order to have an existence, you have to make something else make that existence exist. Once something exists, he can function, but to make it into existence, that he can't do. A being can't make itself can't create itself, because the concept of creating comes from a creator, comes from something that's able to make it exist. So once you see that there is any existence, anything, a table, a chair, a world, anything that exists means that there's something that created it. Now, that which there's a rule that something in existence has to be created, that's logic. So when a guy looks around the world and he sees that there's a world, something forces him to believe that there's something higher than the world that created it. And that's what they believe in the Eibishter. In other words, their belief in the Eibishter is the outcome of something. Because of that outcome, they're forced to believe in the Eibishter. So that's the first prat. Where does the emunah come from? The emunah comes from an outcome of a fact. Now that also affects how a goy has emunah also. Meaning it's not only pshat that goyim have a different way of figuring out how there's a Eibishter. But once they figure it out, so they know that there's a Eibishter the way a Yid knows how the Eibishter. The Rebbe says that no, since their belief is coming from an outcome of a certain prat, so that affects how they know that there's a Eibishter. Since when a guy believes in Elokus, it's not mitzad, it's supposed to be that way. It's mitzad something proved it to him that way. Nor die Metzies von Welt bringt sie zu Hidon Elokus. There's something that proved to them the existence of the Eibishter. The fact that it had to be proven coming from a proof is their belief is only limited to how much the proof proves it. Das heißt, wie viel Lakus ist scheich zur Welt und mit zum Belwusche Ateva. However much a Lakus is able to connect to the world, that's how much their belief in the Lakus is going to be. Since their belief in the Eibush is coming from a fact that the world exists, so the foundation of their emunah comes from the world. So their emunah is only going to be in a level of lakus that's connected to the world. Or in other words, their emunah is only going to be in the Eibush that's an outcome of the world. That's an outcome of what they see. But when it comes to a hecher from Welt, when it comes to something that doesn't come from an outcome of the world, that isn't proven by the existence of the world, hecher from Welt and Teva seine sie nicht made. Something which is higher than Teva, which means that's higher than the world, that they're not made. Why they're not made? Because it wasn't proven by this rule. It wasn't proven by this rule of ein davar eses atzmi. Ein davar eses atzmi means that there has to be a creator who created this being. Which means I know the creator, I know the Eibishter by this being, by the world. And since I know it by the world, the relationship that the game have to the Eibishter is only a level of a lakus that's connected to the world. But something which is higher than being connected to the world, something which is higher than Teva, so a guy isn't made because he doesn't have to. The rule, the proof doesn't prove this point. So this is two pratim of a guy's emunah. Number one, the foundation where it comes from is from the world. And number two, in what is a guy believing? A guy is believing in a level of alakus that's direct continuation and outcome from the world. So that's how it works by a guy. By a yid, like we mentioned before, that the shaynish of emunah of a yid, where the emunah comes from, is different than a guy. And since the shaynish is different, the emunah is also different. Aber the emunah von Yidden kommt nicht from Welt. The emunah of Yidden, the foundation of the emunah doesn't come from the world. The emunah of Yidden isn't based on a logical calculation. So why does Yid believe in the Eibishter? What makes a Yid believe in the Eibishter? Because Yidden seine Be'etzem verbunden mit der Lakus. That what Yidden believe in the Eibishter is because they're Be'etzem connected to the Eibishter. B'mele legt sich bei sie up Gedlichkeit. Therefore they believe in the Eibishter. So by a guy, the foundation of the Munah comes from Welt. The Munah is the outcome of the world. The Munah is the outcome of a calculation. As opposed to by Yid is verkehrt. By Yid, the Munah is the outcome of being connected to the Eibishter. Since a Yid's connected to the Eibishter, the he believes in the Eibishter. Punkt wie bei Umas Ha'elam is there Inyan Elam. Just like by Umas Ha'elam, the definition of Umas Ha'elam means that they're creations, they're nivroim. As is by Yidin zed Inyan Lakus. The definition of Yid is a Lakus. Which means that by Goyim, the reason why they get their emunah from Welt is because that's what they're shaykh to. The reason why a Goy gets his emunah from through a calculation is because he's a nivra, he's a creation. And a creation is only able to connect the lakus through the lens of a nivra, through the lens of a creation. And therefore, any connections going to have to the lakus is going to be an outcome of nivra. As opposed to by Yidin, it's the opposite. By Yidin, the definition is a lakus. A Yid is a chelik elokayim al mamish. And that's his etzem. And all the other pratim are outcome of that nakuda. All the other pratim are outcome of that inyan. But Mele is indemnity talking akbalas hateva. A Yid isn't connected to the limitations of teva. Und es legt sich bei sie ab, bepschites eiche lakus l'maylam hateva. And a Yid is able to connect to a lakus, which is higher than having a connection to the world. A lakus, the way it's higher than teva. And here the rabbis are going into the third nakuda, that not only the emunah is different by Yid and a Goy, and not only a Yid's definition is different than Yid and a Goy, but there's also a difference in what dargav alakus they are believing in, what dargav alakus they are connecting to when they believe in the Eibishter. As Evi is very declared in Chassidus, like his brother in Chassidus, the Chiluk from emunah umus ha'elam mit emunah Yisrael. The difference between the emunah of Goyim and the emunah of Yidden is, as emunah Yisrael is in Shem Havaya. When Yidden believe in the Eibishter, they're believing in Shem Havaya. What is Shem Havaya? Haya, heve, v'yeh ka'echad. Shem Havaya means that the Eibishter is higher than any limitations of Zman and Makim. L'maylim ha'teva, higher than the limitations of the boundaries of Teva. So that's when a Yid believes in the Eibishter. On the emunah from Umas Ha'elam and the emunah of Goyim is in Shem Elokim. The emunah of Goyim is in the Eibishter, but it's in Shem Elokim. Shem Elokim is begematria Teva. Shem Elokim represents a lakus the way it already relates to nature. Wie Pare mit seinen Chartum haben gesagt, lo yadaite savaya etzber lekimhu. Pare said he doesn't know Shem Havaya. Pare didn't have a connection to lakus higher than Teva. He said that's what Lakimu, but Shem Lakim he did have a connection to. Which means that when Yidden connect to the Eibishter, and when a guy connects to the Eibishter, they connect to two different levels of Elikus. A Yid connects to Shem Havaya. Shem Havaya is higher than Teva. As opposed to a guy connects to Shem Lakim. A Yid is Batsam Shaykh to Shem Havaya. And since the Yid Batsam is Shaykh to Shem Havaya, that affects the way he connects to Shem Havaya. That affects the way he connects to the Eibishter. As opposed to a guy, he only has a Shaykh to Shem Lakim. And therefore his Amun is only able to come from inyanim which are connected to the world. Chassidus brings down a Kama Pamim how the Amun of Goyim is in Mamala Kalamim, as opposed to the Amun of Yidin is in Seva Kalam. Because Goyim only have a level of Lakus which is shaykh to the world, as opposed to Yidin are connected to Lakus where it's higher than Eilu Shem Havaya, like we just said. So Shaila is L'cheira, why is it so hard for a guy to come to Maskon and the Lakud, the Eibush is Bligvul? Mitzat Seichel Gufa, something that Seichel's Machrech, that the Eibush is completely unlimited. Rambam writes in Ilchus Desei HaTeira that one of the proofs that we know the Eibush is Bligvul, because if a person looks at the Galgalim, and the Galgalim are Seviv and Eifon of Bligvul, so it means that the Eibush is also Bligvul. So what's that? The Goyim don't have a Shaykh to Lakus that are higher than Akbolas. So the answer is that Goyim, any connection they have to Lakus starts from them, or starts from Nivroim, starts from a limited level of a Lakus. So even if a guy is going to come to Maskana that the Eibush is Bligvul, it's all going to be Bligvul biyachas in relation to what he sees. Once he sees Veld, then he sees Veld is Bligvul, so he's going to understand that the Eibush is also Bligvul. But the Bligvul that the guy is going to be able to reach is only going to be a level of Bligvul which is Shaykh to Gvul, a level of Bligvul which is Shaykh to Nivroim, an outcome of Nivroim. Because a guy doesn't have a connection to Lakus K'mishahu. A guy doesn't have a connection to Lakus the way the way Lakus doesn't have a connection to the world. As opposed to a Yid, the Yid is connected to Shem Havaya. And not only a Yid, the Yid is connected to Shem Havaya, that's the Mציאות, that's the definition of a Yid. Chiluk Havaya Ami. So therefore Yid are able to connect to the level of Lakus that doesn't have to be connected to Velt in any way. The Emes of Bligvul of Lakus. As opposed to by a Goy, and even if he is going to get a level of Bligvul, that's all going to be a outcome of what he already sees. So by a guy, the foundation starts from what he sees. The foundation starts from Seichel. The foundation starts from Nivroim. Even though he's able to reach a higher level, he could go higher and higher, but that's all still going to be in relation to what he sees. The foundation has started from what he saw. And any level of a Lakus he's going to reach which is higher than what he sees, and he's going to come to Maskana, that since that there are Nivroim which are Bligvul, so the Eibush is even higher than that, that's all biyachas, that's all in relation to Nivroim. As opposed to by Yidden, they don't need, their emunah doesn't start from Gvul, their emunah doesn't start from Nivroim. Their emunah starts from that they're Chiluk Havaya. And that they're able to connect the level of Lakus, which is Batzim Bligvul. So that was the first that was the first thing. In Sif Gimel, the Rebbe translates this in the Kodeh. So that was the difference between emunah and the emunah of a guy and the emunah of a Yid. In Sif Gimel, the Rebbe translates this inyan of emunah of a guy and emunah of a Yid into how a Yid and a guy look at Teva. That's Bika where it comes into the Asugya. It's Sif Gimel. Klare Gerät. In jeder inyan in Welt sucht der Nit-Id die Teva von dem. Every single thing that happens in the world, a guy looks for a natural explanation how it works. Seiden, wenn es zet an nes golui, was hat kein Ort in Teva. Unless there's no other physical way of explaining it, muss meide sein, as das ist a göttliche Sach. That the guy is forced to agree that it's a revealed level of Lakus. And even when there is an openness, and the guy is forced, that's a Kriyas Yamsuf, the guy is forced to agree that it's a Nes, the guy wants to find some sort of explanation or tone down the Nes as much as he could, that it should be enclosed in Teva. But by Yid is complete opposite. It's Yed der Zach, was zet, every single thing a Yid sees, sucht bald die Göttlichkeit in them. Even a natural thing that he sees in that natural thing, he sees Göttlichkeit. Punkt, wie ein Yehudi sucht afilo in a Nes Gol, and even just like by a Goy, that even an openness, even a revealed Nes, he sees in that Nes, the Goy tries to connect it with Teva, b'chol mini ishtadlus. So Mazbe sein as das is mitzad Teva, the Goy comes to find some sort of explanation how it makes sense. Is verkehrt by Eden is the other way around. That just like by a Goy, even in the highest things he tries to find how natural it is, it's the other way around. A feeling an union, was implies that in ganzen mitzad teva, even if something which looks completely natural, stellt sich mit dem Tekev von einem Gsheere von Teinit, the Yid, he's stubborn, with the stubbornness of a Yid, as das is nicht mitzad teva, not mitzad lakus. That is not mitzad teva. That which is natural occurrence is happening isn't a natural thing, it's coming from the Eibishter. So by Yid, even a natural occurrence that happens, something which is completely unnatural. And why is it natural? Because the Eibishter made that it should be a natural way. For example, we're going to see soon, a person plants a seed. If a person plants a seed, the natural way that the Eibishter made is that the seed should grow. And the Chanami, that it's a natural thing, but it comes from the Eibishter. The Eibishter made that the nature of the world is if you plant the seed in the ground, it's going to grow. So in order to make the plant grow, do you have to have a munah that the plant's going to grow? Does a person have to have a munah to make sure that the plant's going to grow? No. Because that's pshat teva. Teva means that the Eibishter made kaviyachol rules that the world should run. And part of the rules are that if you plant a seed, it's naturally going to grow. And that itself comes from Elokus. That's the way the Eibishter wanted it. But by Yid, since Yid is connected to Shem Havaya, and Shem Havaya is l'mayla me'at teva, like we learned last week, that a Yid Betzim is higher than teva. So even in a natural thing, even in a Hagas HaTeva, a Yid doesn't relate to the Hagas HaTeva Shabazeh. A Yid doesn't relate to the nature Shabazeh. Because a Yid's connected to Shem Havaya. So even when it comes to a natural, completely natural thing of a plant growing, a Yid believes in the Eibishter and then he sows. A Yid needs a munah in order for the plant to grow. Let's see weiter. Und wie es schon geredet, befirisch diver Yerushalmi, maimim b'chai elikim zereah. That a Yid is maimim b'chai elikim, the Yid believes in the Eibishter, and then he plants. Chotch alavesen, as api teva, mefarzeit a kernel in the merit. If a person plants a seed in the ground, vaxed, it's going to grow. V'tobra Yid sich auf dem nicht verlassen, wenn nicht nehmen a kernel und nehmen reinlegen in der Erd, partet a sach b'yadayim zu lieb dem, was misad chuki ateva, dafür wachsen. Because of natural occurrences, a Yid isn't going to take a seed and waste it. Just because Chuki HaTeva means that it's supposed to grow. Chuki HaTeva seine Beim nicht genug verlasslachet zu lieb sei, soll paten a Sache wie Daim. A Yid should waste a seed because the rule of the world is that it should grow. The rule of the world doesn't apply to a Yid. So why does a Yid plant? Der Tam for Wasser sei, the Yid plants is weil es maimin b'chai lekim beteach in them, as ein Zriya wird matzmiach sein und geben Peres. So the Yid believes in the Eibishter, and he believes that through planting, it's going to grow. Which means that not only a Yid is when we say a Yid is higher than Teva, it doesn't only mean that a Yid isn't connected to Teva, and a Yid relies on miracles. The pshat is that even when a Yid does interact with Teva, and he does plant, and he does do tzorch hapanasa, those tzorch hapanasa have nothing to do with his ashpa. Those tzorch hapanasa have nothing to do with his parnasa. Like we spoke last week, it's a darach that the Eibishter should make that a person should be able to see from his ears. A person should be able to talk from his eyes. Everyone's going to understand that if a person starts talking from his eyes, that there's no connection between the talking and his eyes. Because the eyes physically aren't a kli to talk. The Eibishter made these rules of teva. Rules of teva means that the eye was created with a certain way that it's a kli for the kach. And the ears are kli to hear. Now, that's mitzad teva. Mitzad Shem Havaya, which is higher than teva, there are no rules. There are no ways things are supposed to work. When you plant, it's not supposed to grow. It doesn't have to grow. Mitzad teva, it's supposed to grow. But he doesn't deal with the rules of teva. A Yid is higher than the rules of teva. So when he does deal with the rules of teva, those rules have nothing to do with teva. Those rules have to do with his maimim b'chai elikim zareh. And the rules have no connection with the ashpa that come down. So that's the difference in the emunah of a guy and the emunah of a Yid. That the difference between them is not only in where they come from and how they work, but it's how a Yid looks at teva and a guy looks at teva. A guy looks at teva as even though it's Shem Elikim and he knows it comes from the Eibishter, but it's the way it has to make sense. And even when he sees a Nes Goli, it has to make sense. Because a guy isn't Batsam connected to the Lakus. Any connection a guy has to Lakus is from Seichel. It's from Nivroim, from a Nivrit's perspective. From a Nivra's perspective, everything has to shim according to Nivra. As opposed to by Yidden, a Yid looks at everything mitzad the Lakus's perspective. Mitzad Chiluk Havai Ami. Mitzad Chiluk Havai Ami, things don't have to make sense. A Yid isn't ready to waste the kernel, and it's an interesting lashon. Yid isn't ready to patron azach b'yadayim. A Yid isn't ready to waste something just because of the rules of Teva. Because the Yid's definition doesn't rely on Teva. And the Chukei Teva aren't enough of a reason for him to patron azach b'yadayim. Chassidus has brought down the concept of das Elyon and das Tachton. The difference between das Elyon and das Tachton is, in general, that das Elyon is the lakus b'pshitis, which means that the default understanding is a lakus, and anything besides a lakus is already a chiddush. Anything besides a lakus, you need an explanation why it's here. Just like before tzimtzum. Erin said lifnei tzimtzum, it says, Lo yehoya makom amidas eilamis. There wasn't a place for eilamis. What do you mean there wasn't a place for eilamis? It means that the level of lakus was so pashut, and lakus was the only existence that nothing else was able to exist. Just like in Eilam HaSeichel, for example, when it comes to Seichel, the concept of a stone doesn't exist by itself. The concept of physicality doesn't exist by a stone. You can't explain Seichel to a stone. Because in the Welt of Seichel, in the Eilam HaSeichel, Gashmish doesn't exist. And if it does exist, it exists in the world of Seichel. That Seichel speaks about a stone. But you can't explain Seichel to a stone. And you can't measure Seichel by the physical dimensions. Because in the world of Seichel, Gashmish doesn't exist. So in Das Elyon, Elikus is the only Metzius, and anything besides Elikus doesn't exist. It's a different dimension. That's Das Elyon. Das Tachton is Pumfakert. Das Tachton means that Elmus are Metzius, that Nivroim, by definition, means that he's separated in the Eibishter, and Elikus is Bezchachos. Elikus is a Chiddush. That's Das Elyon, Das Tachton. Chassidus explains that the Emunah of a Goy comes from Das Tachton. The Emunah of a Goy starts from him, since he's a Nivra, so any connection he has to Lakus is Bezchachos. Any connection he has to Lakus is something which is a davar noisav in his Metzius. It's something which is something extra in his being. That it's not supposed to be that way. A Nivra, by definition, is not supposed to have a connection to Lakus. Is a Tachton. The Eibishter wanted a dirib Tachtenim. And part of having a dirib Tachtenim means that he's a Nivra that doesn't have a connection to Lakus. And any connection he does have to Lakus is a Chiddush. Is a davar noisav on who he is. So a guy is able to understand the Lakus. A guy is able to, they're not saying Goyim don't believe in the Eibishter. Goyim do believe in the Eibishter. But anything they believe in is coming on a davar noisav, is coming as something extra on who they are. Because who are they? What is their identity? Their identity is the Nivroim. So even when a guy sees something which is a Lakus, when a guy sees something which is openness, a guy sees it through the lens of a Nivra. A guy sees it through the lens of a creation. And the lens of a creation can never understand the Lakus K'meshahu. The lens of a Nivra can never understand the Lakus the way it's not connected to a Nivra. And therefore, even in the highest ness, a guy is going to find some sort of natural explanation. As opposed to a Yid is fakert. A Yid by definition is a Lakus. A Yid by definition is Shem Havai, which is Das Elyon. Das Elyon means that the default is a Lakus. The only Metzius is a Lakus. And anything extra to that is Bezchachos. Anything extra to that is already a Chiddush. Why is he here? What's he doing over here? And therefore, when a Yid sees Teva, the Metzius of Teva needs an explanation. The Metzius of Teva needs an explanation why it's here. The Metzius of Teva doesn't have a legitimacy. The Metzius of Teva isn't Tevis Mokim. And therefore, when a Yid looks at Teva, he looks at it through the lens of Das Elyon. He looks at Evnei of his Chachos. What is he doing over here? The Eibishter wanted him to do Pulas HaTeva. The Eibishter wanted him to be Zereh. The Eibishter created rules that if you plant, it's going to grow. Those rules don't relate to Lakus Begali. Those rules don't relate to Das Elyon. And that's why a Yid, those rules aren't good enough for him just to waste the kernel Azeh. A Yid, the reason why he plows and the reason why he sows in the ground, he plants, is because Maimim Mechaylikim Zereh. He believes in the Eibishter. Since he believes in the Eibishter can make something grow also. So every single pull of veld is bizchachos. Every single pull of veld is a new Metzius. It's a foreign concept to him. And that's how a Yid relates to Teva, that the whole concept of Teva is a foreign concept to a Yid. Because a Yid betzim is from Shem Havai. So Atkan is the Nakuda of the first Sikha. How much the Yid's Amunah, he sees the world in a different way. The second Sikha brings out the same Nakuda but in a different Eifen. From the first Sikha we are Madgish, how a Yid sees in Teva, Yid sees Lamaylim al Teva. In other words, a Yid doesn't deal with the rules of Teva. In this Sikha we're going to see the same word, how it expresses itself, that how a Yid deals with Teva and he understands what the true Mציאות of Teva is. And not he ignores Teva, but how he sees how in Teva itself, the true Mציאות of Teva is the Eibishter. So the Rebbe starts explaining to Sikh and Parshas A. The Rebbe starts explaining the connection of Ani L'Deidi to Parshas A. Ra'i usually falls on Chedesh El. Chedesh El is the Chedesh of Ani L'Deidi of Deidi Li. And the Rebbe is connecting the concept of Ani L'Deidi to Parshas A. And the Rebbe starts in the first few Sifim that in general Yid's connection to the Eibishter is in two ways. One is that he could be inspired, he could have this Eidus Mulmaila, that he could be inspired by the Eibishter. And then you have an Eifen of Ani L'Deidi. Ani L'Deidi means that a Yid, B'keich Atzmi, connects to the Eibishter. Without a Eidus Mulmaila, but B'keich Atzmi connects to the Eibishter. And then the Rebbe says that's the true Aveda, because if a Yid connects to the Eibishter on his own initiative, it's his inyan. It's his Aveda. And then the Rebbe connects it to Parshas Re'eh. So this is a Sikha in Parshas Re'eh, Tafshin Nun. It's page 51 in the booklet. 51 in the booklet says Gimel. Namazan. Apizeh, wenn verstehen die Sheiches von El zu Parshas Re'eh. Through explaining what Ani Vodedi is, we're going to understand the connection to Parshas Re'eh. The Shleimus Aveda von Ani Vodedi Li. The true Aveda, the completion of the Aveda of Ani Vodedi Li, which is the Isachtus zwischen dem Mציאות Ani von a Yid mit dem Eibishter, which we explained in the first few Sifim, is a Yid, the Mציאות of a Yid, connecting to the Eibishter. So where is that Shleimus? Is B'shas das is an Eifen von Re'eh, in a way that it's an Eifen of Re'eh, that the person, the Aveda is in a way he's seeing things. What does that mean? What's the Aveda of Re'eh? What is the Hidush of seeing something? That Uftu von Re'eh legabi Shmi'a or Shara Keiches, the Hidush of when a person sees something over Shmi'a, over hearing something, and the Rebbe has in brackets not only Shmi'a but all the other Keiches in the person. When a person sees something, he has a special strength that doesn't exist by any other Keiches. What's that Hidush? He says, B'shas ezet hazach, b'shas ein ezet hazach mit die eigene eigen. When a person sees something with his own eyes, vertes be'em nis amis betachlis es amsus. We see, when a person sees something with his own eyes, the concept becomes true. The concept becomes true by him, that he's not able to deny it. When a person hears something, we're going to see soon the concept of ein eid nasadai. When a person hears something, then the concept isn't 100% true by him. We're going to see soon that if someone else gives another explanation of how the thing that he heard doesn't make sense, or how the witness that he heard from is a liar, so he doesn't believe in the concept anymore. As opposed to when a person sees something, then you could explain to him it doesn't make sense, but since he saw it. Because when a person sees something, the thing that he saw becomes true by him. The thing that he saw becomes justified by him 100%. So that's one Chiddush of when a person sees something, the Chiddush of Re'eh. And then about Besignan Acher, which is betzim a taich of why that happens. Besignan Acher, that Adam HaRoya wird den ganzen is Acher mit der Advar Hanireh. When a person sees something, he's completely connected to the thing that he's seeing. Azay is in them nitkin shinui. He's connected to the thing that he saw in such a way that thing can never be separated from him. Keiner kann ihm nicht überzeugen, als die Mציאות ist anders. No one can tell him that the thing that he saw happened differently. Why? He saw it by himself. Nicht wie das ist bei Shmi'a, okay, jetzt aber so. Not as opposed to when someone hears something, as a feel, when it heard tazach, von a mokin and even if he hears something from a reliable source, wird bei ihm nicht als ein Nisamis, wenn es achet, und dem came by him then noch sein Ashinui. That the thing that if a person hears something from someone, then that which he heard doesn't mean it's 100% true by him. Shas says gate durzman. Let's say time passes. Other tracht the he thinks about it again. Other heard from a zweite and another gis, or he heard another version of the story from someone else. But the fact is the din as ein eid nasedain. Therefore, we find in Gemara Masechta Shoshana as ein eid nasedain. That the witness can judge a case. Why? Since they saw the case, they can be malamet chus. The thing is that dayanim have to be able to find be able to find the person innocent. Then if a person saw something, then he's not able to find the person innocent, because since he saw it. Since he saw the case, and he saw what happened. There's no other way of justifying the case. So that's b'chlal when a person sees something. So the Rebbe said two nukudas. One is that when a person sees something, it becomes true by him. So that's, if you could say, that's the outcome of him seeing. But why does it become true by him? The Rebbe adds in the Sigur Nachir, it becomes true because what happens when a person sees something? What happens when a person sees something? There's a complete connection between the person and the thing that he's seeing. That is the kayach. The kayach has a strength to be nisachet, to connect to something in a way that's not able to, that doesn't exist by any other kayachs. The Rebbe explains in Tanya that the kayach seichel is the biggest. When a person learns Torah, the kayach seichel as a special tchuna that in order to understand something, the thing has to be connected to him, has to be unified with him. In order to see something, when a person sees something, the thing connects with him 100%. And that's why it stays true. That's why no one's able to deny it, even if it doesn't make sense, because the thing is with him. The thing is nisachah with him. The thing is connected to him. So that's what happens when a person sees something. What does that mean in Yiddishkeit? What does that mean in Aveda? Therefore, is echt muvan bepratis de pirush in the pasuk bereish parsha sheino rei yanechen nesen lefnechem ayem. Moshe Rabbeinu tells the Yidden, rei, see before you that I gave you the Torah. The Torah sagt Yidden. The Torah says to Yidden as a lakus and Torah mitzvahs, that when it comes to lakus and Torah mitzvahs, so yanechen nesen lefnechem ayem, that's Moshe Rabbeinu is telling Yidden, darf beim sein in efen von rei in a lakus, has to be in a way that a person is seeing a lakus. Das dit nor wie Zach was hört oder glaubt in them. It's not only something that he hears or that he believes in that. Was das kann sein wie zugegebene Sache. If a person hears something or a person believes in something, hearing and believing in something means that he's not connecting to the thing that he's hearing, the thing that he's believing 100%. Und in them can sein Shinoim, and therefore there can be changes. Nor does that beim nisames when nisachet werden wie Sach was zet. The Eibishter and Lakus and Torah mitzvahs have to be something which are clear by a person just like he saw it. Was in ganzen sicher in dem emesh, which means he's 100% sure of the accuracy in that. As is be'em sein in them nit shaykh kein shinoim und afil nit kein chalishes. When a person is sure in the 100% accuracy of Torah mitzvahs and the Eibishter, so there can never be any shunoim. There's no changes in his belief in the Eibishter because he saw it, and not only there's no changes, but a person doesn't get weaker in his Yiddishkeit because it's a living fact. That's Aved of the Rei of Rei. But through a person having the Aved of Rei, as an Avedim is Beifin Shariah Lakus, that a person's Aved is an Eifin that he sees the Lakus, Verdi Shleimus from that Aved from Anil Dedi of Dedi Li. That is the true explanation of Anil of Dedi of Dedi Li. Like we explained before, that the concept of Re'iyah means that a person connects completely to the thing that he's seeing. This achtus zwischen Mitzias Adam, the connection of this achtus, the connection of the person's Mitzias Ani and the Eibishter with Eibishter. Why? Weil Re'iyah nem durch der Ani Mitzias Adam ba'atzmei Ani. When a person sees something, it penetrates him. That he is connecting Zed the Emskai from Lakus is connecting to Emskai of Lakus. When a person sees something, it doesn't affect him until his core. So that's the general difference in the and Shmi'a. That this is one Eif there, two Eifanim basically. The Rebbe is explaining of the difference in the and Shmi'a. That the when a person sees something, number one, we see. The fact is that when a person sees something, the thing becomes completely clear by him in a way that they can never take it away from him. Even if a person sees something that doesn't make sense, you can never tell him that it didn't happen because he saw it. And since he saw it, the kayach has a kayach that the thing that he sees becomes true by him 100%. It's one eifin. Then the Rebbe goes another step in the Sigur Nachir and explains the reason behind that. The reason behind that is because when a person sees something, the kayach has a tchuna that when a person sees something, he's connecting to the thing. He's becoming nisachid with the thing that he saw. And since he's becoming nisachid with the thing that he saw, it's in him. You can't take it away from him. It's one with him. And since it's one with him, then then it can never be taken away from him. So that's all one eifin. That's all regarding the person who's seeing. In Sif Dal, the Rebbe is going to go and say that the and tonight we spoke about how the is different than Shmiya, the person who's seeing, how much it affects the person. Here the Rebbe is going to go into another stage, and the Rebbe is going to explain the difference in Re'iyah and Shmiya, not in the person who's seeing, but in the thing that's being seen. That when a person sees something, he's connecting to a different part of the thing that's being seen, as opposed to by Shmiya. Let's see Sifdal. This Amsus from Re'iyah, when a person sees something, that which becomes clear by him, besteht in them, as nesefev them, was das is emes by the Adam Haraya. Besides the fact that when a person sees something, it becomes clear by him in a way of 100% by the person who saw. Because he saw it. So says the Rebbe, is di etzem zach was zet is emes betachlis. The thing that he sees is also 100%. Das says, what does that mean? As zet nit bloß die chitzenius von der Sache. When a person sees something, he doesn't only see the external part of the object. Nor zet primis ganze emes. When a person is seeing something, so not only a person is seeing something, he's being nisach with the object 100%, but even more so. When a person is seeing something, he's connecting to the true existence of that object. He's connecting to the premise of that object. Like Bapashas, the difference in Re'iyah and Shmiya, the reason why when a person sees something, it becomes true 100%, and the reason why when a person sees something, he's nisach, he connects to it 100%, is because when a person is seeing something, he's connecting to the object itself. He's connecting to the premise, the inner part of the object. As opposed to when a person is hearing something and a person understanding something, he's understanding the external part of the object. In other words, when a person sees something, he's connecting to the object the way the object is. If a person sees a picture, the picture is not there to be seen. The picture doesn't care if he sees it or he doesn't see it. The only person that gains from seeing the picture is him. In other words, when a person sees a picture, he's coming into the picture's world. He's connecting to the picture the way the picture is, not the way the picture is portraying itself to a person. As opposed to if I'm going to have to explain to you a picture, if a person's going to have to explain an image, so he's going to have to explain all the details of the image. He's basically going to have to take the picture and explain the external part of the picture, what makes the picture. Not what the picture is, but all the dimensions that make up the picture. That's Shmiya. When a person understanding something, the way the seichel works is that seichel dissects things. In order, seichel can't take something, the inyan k'mei shehu. Chassidus speaks about bina, that bina is compared to Shmiya. Bina is, when we say understanding, when a person understands something, he has to dissect the inyan. A person can't understand the inyan k'mei shehu. Because when a person understanding something, he's bringing the concept into his world. He's bringing the concept into his perspective. And in order for him to do that, to bring the concept into his perspective, he has to dissect the concept in a way that it's able to fit into his perspective. And that's Shmiya. And that's why when a person understands something, he's not completely nisach with it. It doesn't become completely true by him. Because he doesn't have the true object. The thing that he saw, he doesn't have the concept, he doesn't have the true concept. He has the concept the way related to him. And the second you could explain the concept with a different way, you can relate the concept in a different levush. You can relate the concept take the external part of the concept and relate it in a different way. So his understanding goes away. As opposed to by the when a person sees something, he's seeing the true element of that thing. He's connecting to what that thing is. Just like a pashas, when a person sees a picture, he's not seeing a lot of different details of a picture. He's seeing the picture. He's seeing the whole image. And since he's seeing the whole image, he's seeing what the image is, not the way the image expresses itself into external factors. If you're going to have to explain to someone what a picture is, you can't tell him it's a picture of a person. You have to tell him there's certain lines in the picture that make like this, and there's certain details of the picture that make the picture into what the picture is. So you're going to have to take the external part of the picture and explain it to him. That's the most idea. You're seeing what the inyan is. So that's why it's able to penetrate. Since the person saw the muhus of the thing, the premise of the object, that's able to affect him, that it should connect his premise. That's able to, number one, be connected to him. It's able to be nisachad with him. And since it's nisachad with him, it's 100% true by him. So that's what Avodah of Raia. That's the Hidush of Raia. So the Rebbe says, attaches that there's an Avodah, which means that meant as darf sein in a lakos. Besides that, we said before that lakos has to become a living thing by him. A lakos has to become a true concept by him. The Avodah from Terem is darf getan werden by from Raia. That the Avodah of Terem have to be done in a way that it's not an external thing, that it connects to who he is. It does kailo de pirush as the Re'ei von Ayiden. The Rebbe sticks in the second pshat that we just mentioned now. As the Re'ei von Ayiden, this amsus shelei, darf bestehen dafke in Re'ei al-nechi neisen lifnechem ayem. Und nicht in andere Sachen. That this koyach that a person has to reach the true element of things should be connected to lakus, which means sein Re'ei vis amsus, when a person connects to the true element of something, darf sein dafke in the emeskait von the lakus and Terem mitzvahs. His emeskait should connect to the emeskait of the lakus and Terem mitzvahs. Und alle in Yonei Eilam seine bei ihm nicht emes be'efen shari'iyah. That anything else which isn't a lakus isn't re'iyah, isn't true by him. Just like in a person, the only element of a person that a person is able to find the true object of the true definition of something is through re'iyah. So a person should use his re'iyah in a lakus. That the only time a person should relate to something in a true way is only if it's a lakus. And anything else besides the lakus isn't an eifin of Raia. It could be an eifin of Shmi'a. It could be an eifin that he understands it, but it's not true by him. And here the Rebbe teaches Reis, mamish into how it comes into Asugya, how a Yid is supposed to look at Teva and look at the Welt. Die Welt ist beschaffen geworden durch den Eibishter in der Eifin. The world was created by the Eibishter in a certain way as Teva ha'olam mitzad atzmei verdeckt auf ihr Emes Metzias. That Teva ha'olam means that the nature of the world is covering the true existence of the world. Teva milashon tavu ba'aretz. Teva means that it was drowned. Und Eilam milashon helen vastin. And Teva ha'olam means that the world is concealed. What does that mean practically? The chayes of the case, the dvar Hashem says mahavu machayim makayim yeder zachin velt. The chayes that the Eibishter gives into the world, like the Rebbe says in Sheikh the how every single nivra, every single creation has to be recreated. The chayes has to be re-given every single second. So that's the true. That's what makes the nivra live. That's the life of the nivra. So that's the true definition of the nivra. Teva Eilam covers that. Teva Eilam makes that we don't see the true definition of the nivra. We don't see the chayes elikis. When a person sees the world, he doesn't see how the Eibishter is being mechayah the world every second. What does a person see? A person sees the gashmis of Welt. If a person is not going to think into it, it does be'am de'emes. That is the true definition of the world. Does zeter und does vernisames be'am, because that's what a person sees. When a person sees something, sees the gashmis dike tzir, the gashmis dike image of the world, so if he's not going to think about it, that is the emes mitzvahs. That is the true definition. And since that's what he's seeing, without the right lens, that's what becomes nesamis. That's what becomes true by him. In other words, if a person sees the world with the wrong lens, if a person sees the gashmistic part of the world and he doesn't see the emeskite of the world, so what becomes emes by him? What becomes true by him? What becomes authentic by him? What becomes authentic by the Yid is the chitzonis, the getzir of the world. The kavani is abed durch the Avodah von mention when a person works on himself, soll kommen zu wissen that a person should come to know. And not only a person should come to know in the intellect, bis zu sehen be'efen von that a person should see that the emes is a lakus, that the true being and the true definition of every nivra is a lakus. That Eibishter was mahavil mechaya umekayim the nivra. What's behind the gashmis zikatzir is that the Eibishter is being mechaya the creation every single second. V'lashon Rambam, like the Rambam writes, "V'avay lekim emes." That the Eibishter is emes, hu levade emes, ve'in la'acher emes kamitase. That the Eibishter is the only true existence. Anything else besides the Eibishter doesn't have a true existence. V'hu sha'teira emeres. That's what the Torah says. Ein nid muvade. Kalemer ein sham motzi emes muvade kemese. That there's no other existence and which is true like the Eibishter's existence. Because the true existence of every nivra is the lakus. So every creation doesn't exist, doesn't have any truthful existence in its own right. The true existence of every single nivra is the lakus. So that's the Aveda V'Riyah. Not only a person connects to lakus in a way that lakus is clear by him, but a Yid looks at the world that there's no other true existence besides the Eibishter. And that the true definition of every existence is the Eibishter. Bees as a degrechti darge, and that was going in levels, that through the Aveda V'Riyah, the Yid can reach a level as ein Re'iyah, this amsus, was durch Re'iyah, that the clarity that he gets through seeing, through the Re'iyah, is dafkin aneche nesen nifnechem ayem. As zet as lakus unter der mitzvahs is der einzige emes, was hat akiyum nitzchi on shinuyim. A person can reach a level not only that he sees the emes and mitzvahs of Welt, but that becomes so clear by him that a lakus is the only mitzvahs. Mashenke when he gets to the Welt is the nivroim is beim ashak v'tayr tzim mitzad atzmi is achid sanayim of the mitzvahs. That a lakus not only is the true existence, but anything else in the world, he starts having a whole contemplation. Is it a dimyon? Is it an imaginary thing or not? And the only way he knows that there is that the nivra truly exists isn't because he sees that the nivra exists, it's because Torah said the nivra exists. Or maybe maybe the world is half a metzias and half a dimyon. Und afil as a metzias und nit kein dimyon is die Welt wochal an Nevrei mitzad atzma metzias shall cause of balahak a metzias lefisha. Or maybe if the world is a true metzias, but it's only metzias for a certain amount of time, so therefore it's not it's a fake metzias. Warum sehen wir zu den Jahren seinen Höven und Nifsadim und wird safe bald werden, shekulen bei Befen Shacharov, that the world is eventually going to stop existing. Nashus afresh nit. Begdum es in Haris Machazin welche Pesken lacha Shavashanim of Mele können sie auch nur from Shas Mais and Maim Chaim. B'chol Eifen, they were saying that the Yid sees Welt, once a Lakus becomes the true Metzias, a person uses his Re'iyah, his koyach to see, his koyach to that things should become clear by him 100%, and the koyach to connect to the primus of something, he use that for Lakus, then everything else starts becoming a shakvatari. Does it truly exist or not? B'chol Eifen, fila eib die Welt is a Metzias amitit l'fisha, ve'sayid as nit in them is told as a Metzias v'kim achais. Even if the end of his whole shakvatari is that the world is Metzias, but he knows that the chayis of the Metzias is zayin chayis v'kiyum. But there is a chayis v'kiyum kol ha'olam is told in the Lakus. The chayis, the life and existence of the whole world is told in the Eibishter, which is a lakim chayim. V'atem advekim Hashem lekechem ha'idei ze atem chayim. Und in Teirem mitzvahs v'chazayne chayinu v'rechamenu. Das heißt, b'shas a Yid guckt if the Welt, when a Yid looks at the world, zeter re'ei, a person sees, re'ei was ved nisames by him, which you said before, that when a person sees becomes clear by him, that the emes is nit mitzias ha'olam. The true existence of the world isn't the external existence, nor the koyach hapel b'nifel. The koyach hapel that makes the existence exist. In Mokim desert, when a person sees a place, as the Mokim Amit is Elokus, and a person sees the concept of Mokim, when a person sees the concept of a limited space, he doesn't see it as a Nivra, he sees it as that the true Mokim is the Eibishter. Ki du as Mokim b'gematria kuf peivav is the Sachaka from the Eis of Shem Havai b'keifel, that the Mokim represents the Eis of Shem Havai. ובכלל זה זתר, אז der Eibishter nimmt sich am למטה במקום וזמן, דהיינו שמסייח ומינוס מהחוסר שמרו נמשך ונסעבר המקום והזמן, וזהו ייחוד התתו, שיל והווי באבנס ברוך הוא. והדבר הזה בנגיע צה על נברואים בעולם, זתר והמיתיס מציוסי, בכל דבר is der חייס אלוקי, was בלב דיזך. So that's one Eifen that a person uses his koyach hariyah to see the true existence of Teva, the true existence of what every creation is. That the existence of every creation is the koyach hapel b'nifel, which is being mechayed. Now the Rebbe goes further. Unachmer, not only when a person sees nivroim does he see the koyach hapel b'nifel, which is mechayed the world, Nachmer der Raia, when a person sees something, darf sein nicht nur in Lukech Apel Benifo. When a person digs deeper, and a person sees the true existence, even though the true existence of every nivra is its chayes, but that's only the chayes. The Dvar Hashem beginnes Malchus was sich mislabish in nivroim. If you look at the chayes comes from Malchus, like it says in Chassidus, that Dvar Hashem Shomayim Nasu, that the chayes in nivroim comes from Malchus, which is the lowest level of Lakus. The Rebbe says that if a person uses his koyach hariyah, his koyach to see the emes of something, he'll see that the emes and mokir of the koyach apel bonifel isn't Malchus, nor the anechi. As that b'chaya anechi misha anechi. It said as the koyach ha'atzmos in the bria. The nivras, the person sees the koyach ha'atzmos in the bria. How does the person see the koyach ha'atzmos in the bria? V'as hu levade b'koyach v'yichot levrei yesh mi'ayin. Like the Rebbe says in Tanya, that the nivra has to cover keich atzmos. So even though Chassidus usually explains that the chayes of the nivra, that which a nivra comes from atzmos is the being of the nivra. That which the nivra exists without having a connection to any prior level of alakus, that can only come from atzmos. Here the Rebbe is saying that the chayes of the nivra comes from atzmos. The chai, not only the nivra is created from atzmos, the chayes also comes from atzmos. Ulahesiv, das ist echt nirmaz in dem Wadrei. This concept is hinted not only that a person sees that the nivra, the true mitzvah of the nivra is its chayes, but a person sees where the chayes comes from. That the chayes comes from atzmos. That is hinted in the world of Rei, because Rei makela is b'gematria raz. The word Rei is the gematria raz. As das is manam as the Raia in a lakus, when a person sees a lakus, darf sein in the dagas from the lakus, but seine behalten roz mitzad atzmos. A person sees in the levels of lakus that are hidden by themselves. Bis the keich atzmos, as das darf leichten begolu roz begamatria beven shorei. That should be revealed in Ofen that a person sees it. Derech matan tere, pas damos is the Raia nech in nisem tech mayem gewen der Raia meisem merkave vekisa akave beginnes roz b'lakus, but matan tere jeden saw lakus. So that's all what a person has to, the Aved of Raia, that a person sees the emes and Metzius of Welt. That a person sees the emes and Metzius of Teva, that the emes and Metzius of Teva is the Keich HaPel Nifel, that the Ebrish is Machaya Mahav every single Nivra of Welt, and that's the Nivra's true existence. And here the Rebbe sticks in a word, that when a Yid sees the emes and Metzius of Welt, it's not pshat that since he knows the emes and Metzius of Welt, all the external factors of the Nivra become irrelevant. And the true mitzvah of the world is only the keich apel benifo, and that's it. The Rebbe says no. Lieder Gisa says nicht der pshat as durch dem was the Raia von Yidden is in Lakus. It's not pshat that through Yidden seeing the mitzvah of the world that is Lakus is das shadel the mitzvah ha'adam va'elam. That negates the external existence of the person in the world. That a person sees the external existence with his eye. Not adrabah, the other way around. Zed via Lakus is the Metzias Amitis from the Adam und from Elam. He sees how the person, with all his external factors, his true existence is a lakus. How does he see that? He says, Da Metzias von Ani. There's an external existence of Ani. Und Lifnechem. Und der durch seine Aveda sieht, wie sein Ani, der Yesh Nivra, nimmt sich und ist ein Sach mit der Yesh Amiti. That a person sees how every single part of his being, even his mitzias, even his chitzenistic appearance, even the part that doesn't bring out a lakus in a revealed way, that's connected to the Yesh Nivra, the Yesh Amiti. Das heißt, as a zayin and beide Sachen, that two things exist in the same time. Number one, it says a Yesh, nit an ayin. It's not pshat that a person is mevatel the world. It's not pshat that a person says the world doesn't exist or the world is batel to lakus. That's a different word. Says a Yesh. That he does see the external factor of the world. He does see the mitzias of Welt. Aber the Yesh is margish und zet wie is be'emes ein Sach mit Yesh Amiti. But he understands and he sees how this Yesh and this mitzias that doesn't bring out lakus in any way, his true existence is the Yesh Amiti. Shehu nelam einay beruye b'ri muchshas that he's not able to see. So the pshat is not pshat that he ignores the mitzias of Teva. He ignores the mitzias of the world. He sees how the mitzias of the world gufas the lakus. The Mitzvah Rebbe, Yesh Nivro, Yesh Amiti. The Rebbe teaches the same thing when it gets of Welt. But that is when we get to Eilam. Is man nicht Shalom Metzius Eilam. It's not that he negates the Metzius of the world. But the Torah sagt, as is da Welt. Torah says, Bereishis bara Elokim. Torah says that there is a world. And you have to do Torah mitzvahs with the world. Und man sieht die Welt mit der eine Basar, was der Eberstadt beschaffen. A person, not only Torah said that there's a world, Torah, the Eberstadt created eyes that are able to see the external part of the world. The Eberstadt created that the world should look like a Tachton. B'chitzenis, the world is a Tachton. Now in der Welt, sieht man the Keich HaPel B'nifel, that in this Tachton, in this external being, he doesn't ignore it. He sees how the true mitzvah of that nivra is Keich HaPel B'nifel, Keich HaAtzmos. At the Yesha Nivra from Welt is ein Zach mit der Yesha Amiti. That the Yesha Nivra of the world is the same, is one thing with the Yesha Amiti. Now it's not pshat that the Yesha Amiti, the Atzmos, gets rid of the Yesha Nivra. It's not pshat that the Atzmos is there to refine the Nivra and reveal what the Nivra truly is. That's another word. Here we're saying that the Yesha Nivra is the Yesha Amiti. The true existence of the world in its form now, the true existence is the Yesha Amiti. Und wie kol prat ba'ilam, sein in an Östrik von Magolu Masach Hashem or Rab Masach Hashem, that every single detail of the world, the chitzenus of the world, the part of the world that looks like a mitzvah, that's there to bring out Morab Masach Magol Masach. Ki ero shomecha ma'aseh b'eisecha. Mekukt auf Himmel, where a person sees the sky, zet man die Handarbeit from the Ebersten. He sees how the sky is there to express a lakus. V'yal nivraim zayin ma'shafen gevarim b'shel ateiru shel Yisrael. He sees that every single thing in the world is created for a purpose for Yidden. Uledugma mekukt auf die Kichavim, you see the stars, zet man v'mitziusam is a dugma if misper b'nei Yisrael. He sees how the stars is an example of the numbers of Yidden. Mekukt auf die Levana, we see the moon. Zet man v'mitzius is a dugma if Yidden nademen u'men Levana. He sees how the moon is an example of Yidden. So that's the David of Raia. David of Raia is that a person, number one, sees the emes and metzius of what Welt is. That's the chayes of the kids, have the world every second. Not only that, he sees how the emes and metzius of Welt, the way the Welt is with its whole external existence, that's there to bring a lakus. Like it's part of Samach Vav, that there's two ifanim in Achas Hashem. One ifan is Achas Hashem Matal Amayla. That a person looks at Welt and sees how Welt is brought to the Eberster. Then there's Achas Hashem Mamayla Lamata. Mamayla Lamata means the way Lakus expresses itself in every part of the world. Lakus expresses itself in every single mitzvah of the world. In order for Lakus to bring itself out in every mitzvah of the world, the mitzvah of the world has to be Tevis Makim. The mitzvah of the world has to have a separate nivra. Lakus expresses itself differently in Shemayim than in Aretz. And every single nivra is there to bring Lakus in a different way. And that's a whole new level of Achas Hashem, that not that everything's bought with the Eibishter, but the Eibishter expresses itself in every single part of the world. And that Yid sees in each nivra. So besides the fact seeing that each nivra is the true existence of each nivra is the Keich HaPel B'nifel, is the Dvar Hashem which is Mechayit. But even more so, he sees how that Keich HaPel B'nifel expresses itself in the tzir of that nivra. That's the way of Raia. So in the first sikh we mentioned how a person sees in the Metzius of Welt, how the Metzius of Welt is Betzim Alakus. The Metzius of Welt is the Chilukei HaTeva don't have a Tifzas Makim. The Chilukei HaTeva don't have existence in their own. Ma'im Chilikim Zereya, then Hagas HaTeva, he doesn't relate to this whole thing. In this we're saying that together with seeing the emes and Metzius of each nivra, that it's the Keich HaPel B'nifel, together with that relates to an Hagas HaTeva. That relates that he sees in an Hagas HaTeva Gufa that the true existence of that thing is the Keich HaPel B'nifel.